Hey everyone, welcome to Reddit Readout. Today we are checking out Entitled Parents. Story 1. Entitled parents tried to self-invite themselves up to the hospital. So I am currently 26-week pregnant and my entitled parents decided that they were going to self-invite themselves up to the hospital when Bob was born. Now my mother has had 6 children of her own and my twin and I were born via C-section, so she knows that at this not too many guests is best, but she's going to get her neighbors to drive her and my dad up to the hospital. It wasn't "Oh, when the baby is born can we come up," it was just "I am going to get such and such to bring me up the hospital." She did not like my answer when I said no, as I not having anyone but my husband in the hospital. I might just add that my parents, especially my father, are abusive, controlling idiots, who told me at the start of my pregnancy to have an abortion and that we should be trying for a family. These are the same people who were going to bring my brother to my home for my husband's birthday weekend without checking with us first, and it wasn't until I spoke to them one day that they told me what they were planning and what did he need to bring. My brother is a self-entitled brat who helps himself to things that are not his and threw a tantrum like a 5-year whe. I told him, "You're not coming and I am not babysitting you all weekend." He cannot and will not get along with others and starts arguments. Story 2. I had a fight with my dad almost 2 years ago. Why do I feel so compelled to contact him again? Almost 2 years ago I had a fight with my dad. I was trying to finish an assignment. Both my dad and my grandma started talking over each other at me at the same time. Very calmly I thought, "People do say when I try to be personable it makes me sound like an asshole," said, "I can't understand both of you at the same time." Very calmly I thought, "People do say when I try to be personable it makes me sound like an asshole," said, "I can't understand both of you at the same time." He said, "Fine, keep going with your fucking attitude problem," even though he's the one who constantly doesn't pay attention to me and belittles me and other people all the time. He once said that people only pretend to be nice to me because they're afraid I'll turn out to be a mass shooter. I'm just an incredibly closed-off person, not to say that he was doing anything to foster an environment where I could be open with anyone. I snapped and kicked his door twice. I wasn't expecting it, but it was so flimsy and light that it flew off its hinges. He ran at me. I landed one punch on his face before he put me in a headlock. I tried to bite his arm and he told my grandma to call the cops, which would have given me a criminal record. I couldn't believe how quickly they decided to call them, like it was a long time coming or some shit. My grandma didn't though. He let me go and I packed up my shit and left, all the while he was screaming something about me being mad at the world or some garbage, deflecting blame from himself. Recently I've become compelled to ask him to go see Oppenheimer in IMAX with me, which was a movie he was excited for. I'm so angry at him still. I just have no one left. Both my parents were at best just warm strangers. He definitely paid more attention to me than my mom, that's for sure. I've never had anyone who I felt close to as a friend. My sister has so many friends that she never has time to hang out with me. I still go see my grandma when he's working on weekends, they live together. She was never mean, but she is guilt-trippy as hell and just generally doesn't take anything anyone says seriously. She just keeps casually telling me, in between telling me she loves me and misses me, that I'm literally killing my dad by causing his diabetes to progress. She also insinuates that I'm going to kill her because she misses me hanging out with my dad so much that she's going to have a stroke. She says that he apologized to me, he did apologize through text, so I have to apologize to him. It makes me more spiteful tbh. I've typed out the invite to the movie so many times, hovered my finger over send, then just deleted the entire thing. I just don't know what to do. I don't want to invite him but I feel compelled to. Story 3. My entitled step-family. Throw away for privacy, all names are fake but I'm still trying to be cautious. I just need to vent, and since my step-family has a few entitled parents and kids, I figured this would be a decent place. Anyway, some background, I'm a 17-year-old guy who lives with my dad, entitled stepmom Karen, and 16-year-old entitled stepsister Becky. Yes, I plan on moving out ASAP. Karen and Becky moved in with my dad and I 3 years ago at the start of lockdown after Karen and my dad had a rushed courthouse marriage. Karen's extended family is also quite entitled, but thankfully I haven't seen much of them due to COVID. So without further ado, here are some miscellaneous stories about my entitled step family. Our house has 3 bedrooms, the master bedroom and second bedroom on the second floor, and a small guest room in the basement. When Karen and Becky first moved in, Becky was supposed to move into the guest room because I was already living in the second bedroom. Instead, Becky threw a tantrum, like straight up screaming and crying at 13 years old, because the guest room was too small and didn't have room for this enormous pink dresser he apparently loved so much. Karen backed her up and convinced my dad to give her the second bedroom so that she doesn't have to be so far away from my daughter. My dad caved and I had to donate most of my furniture because seriously my new bedroom is so fucking small. The kicker? Becky got rid of that dresser 2 weeks later because she decided she didn't like the color pink anymore. No, I didn't get my bedroom back, I live in the basement to this day. Becky is lactose intolerant, and when she and Karen moved in, Becky demanded that the entire house be a dairy-free zone. Well, second verse same as the first, Karen backed her up and convinced my dad to agree. This lasted for 2 months until my dad got fed up with paying a fortune for gallons upon gallons of almond milk when only 1/4 of the family actually needs it. We still keep almond milk in the house, but thankfully we also have cheese and regular milk now. My dad and I were going out of town for a family funeral. Karen and Becky never even met this family member and insisted on staying home, and I asked Karen to feed my hamster Jimmy and refill his water while I was gone. Thankfully my dad and I were only gone for a little while because I came back to my poor Jimmy half dead. One emergency trip to the vet later and Jimmy was fine, and Karen apologized profusely because she had forgotten to feed him and refill his water. Later on, either to hurt me or to gloat I'll never know, Becky told me that she and Karen had purposefully starved and dehydrated Jimmy in the hopes that he'd die. Her reason for trying to kill my fucking pet? She and Karen didn't like how he smelled, which I know is bull because Jimmy's cage is in my room, far away from anything else in the house. Then, when I went to my dad to try to get justice for Jimmy, Becky acted all hurt because I made up lies about her, and I got punished instead. We were on a train trip with Karen's brother, my entitled step-uncle Richard, along with his 2 kids Haley, 12, non-entitled, and Jaden, 9, very entitled. Jaden's phone battery ran out, and Richard told Haley to give her phone to her brother. Haley obliged because she was paying attention to the scenery anyway, but I got the sense that no wasn't exactly an accepted answer in their family. Well, a few hours later, Haley's phone ran out of battery as well, and Richard actually expected me to hand over my phone to placate his bored gremlin. Now it's not like I was using my phone, but there's no way in hell I was trusting a 9-year-old with my expensive tech. I told Richard no, and he just gave Karen this look like is he serious? Anyway, Karen tried to force me to give Jaden my phone since my dad was in the bathroom and she was technically the adult in charge of me. I was able to stall long enough for my dad to get back and put an end to that bull. I'm just glad he backed me up on that one. A couple weeks ago while I was babysitting Jaden, I was putting on a movie and Jaden picked out an R-rated horror movie. Since Richard hadn't left any specific instructions about what Jaden was or wasn't allowed to watch, I made my best judgment and told him he couldn't watch it. Jaden threw the temper tantrum to end all temper tantrums, cussing me out worse than a COD lobby. Seriously, he was more creative with his insults than most teens I know. I was kinda impressed. Nonetheless, I called Richard to tell him what his son had said and to ask about the movie. Richard basically said that Jaden was allowed to watch whatever movie he wanted and that he wouldn't have said what he did if I just let him watch the movie. I was just like, okay dude, it's your kid and put on the movie. Jaden cried and screamed through the whole movie but wouldn't let me turn it off. The next week, Richard called me to yell at me because Jaden had been having nightmares and it was all my fault for putting on a horror movie for him. I tried to explain that I'd asked his permission, but he just yelled louder and he swore he'd never ask me to babysit again. Fine by me. I just hung up midway through the tirade because he was yelling so loud I couldn't understand him anyway. And finally, Karen and my dad are planning a vow renewal/belated wedding to make up for the fact that they couldn't have one during COVID. My dad wants a modest ceremony within their means, while Karen wants a blowout that they can't afford in any way. She recently approached me and asked that I donate my college funds so that she can have her dream wedding. I obviously said no, but she wouldn't take that for an answer, and she's been pulling weirder and weirder ploys to get me to give her my money. The latest one was that she pulled up my grades from my past 3 years of high school and tried to convince me that I wouldn't get into college anyway because I didn't have straight A's. For the record, my grades are fine. Not valedictorian material, but I'm not a failure or anything. Wish me luck you guys, I can't wait to get out of here. Story 4. Can't stand my stepmother. She constantly has to comment on my body. I'm walking on eggshells around her constantly hoping she doesn't say something about my clothes on my body. Everything I wear is too tight or too short. Even recently she tried to say my bathing suit bottoms are too small, despite them covering everything they need to cover on my body. The only difference is, they didn't cover my stomach. Of course, my stepsister never gets this treatment ever. I'm Kavya, so of course it's hard to find clothes that don't ride up when I sit down. Even when I put shorts under it, so there wasn't a risk of anyone seeing my underwear, it was still too short. Trust me, this isn't her first time with this behavior. She's done it in the past a lot, and I have another post on my page detailing that. Recently she even said my lipstick was too dark, despite plenty of people paler than me wearing makeup even darker. It was only a dark fuchsia. Most people have told me that most lipstick colors look good on me, pretty much most of my family. My dad didn't seem to think it was too dark at all. And my mom has said she loves the color on me. She seems to think that just because I'm not built like a plank of wood that it's wrong. I can't even wear a backless dress, one that covers everything fine and is very much long enough, because it's too tight. I'm 17 and I just want to get out of here, but as usual nobody cared enough to let me choose where I want to live, despite the fact that I'm 17. I should have been able to choose to live with my mom at like 14. But the juvenile courts where I live are bullshit. I have 7 more months of this hell. Wish me luck. She has always treated me like shit. But as I've gotten older it has only gotten worse. With more rude things about what I wear, instead of just petty crap. That's all for today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.